Hi, I'm Ashley Douglas, project manager, business systems consultant, and someone who has spent years watching incredibly talented service-based business owners work themselves into the ground for absolutely no reason. If you're generating $500,000 or more in annual revenue, but you feel like you are drowning in operational chaos, I want you to know something important. This isn't a capacity problem, it's not a time management problem, and it's definitely not because you are bad at business. That's the last thing that could be true. This is a systems architecture problem. And the difference between those two things, it's like the difference between rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic and redesigning the entire ship to make sure that it doesn't sink, right? So today, I am going to walk you through the 7 operational barriers that keep service-based businesses stuck under the $1 million mark for annual revenue, not because I want to diagnose your problems. Instead, it's because I want you to understand that what you're experiencing has nothing to do with your worth as a business owner. On the contrary, it has everything to do with the infrastructure that was never designed to scale your business beyond your capacity as a founder. So I'm going to start by saying this. These 7 barriers are not separate issues requiring separate solutions, all right? That's important to remember. They're actually symptoms of the same root cause, which is business infrastructure that's built for survival, not scalability. So if you want to create a scalable business, let's talk about what's actually happening within your business. Barrier number 1, I see inconsistent client delivery all the time. And here's what this looks like. One client gets the full VIP experience because you personally handled their project. And then the next client, they get whoever was available that day, following whatever process they think makes sense. The cost of this is not just inconsistent results. The client churn, negative reviews, and the exhausting cycle of constantly needing new clients to replace the ones who didn't get the experience they paid for, that is the true cost of this kind of experience. So when I audit service businesses, this is almost always the first thing I find. And that's, again, not because the team is incompetent, but it's because there's no documented system ensuring that every client receives the same high quality experience regardless of who's delivering it. Think of McDonald's. Every single burger that you get all around the world feels, looks, and tastes exactly the same. That's the kind of reliable experience that you also want to give your clients and customer base. The hidden cost, you're probably spending 30 to 40% more time fixing delivery problems than you would if you had a consistent system in the first place. Barrier number 2 is an unclear standard operating procedure, ties straight into barrier number 1. So let me ask you something. If your top performer quit tomorrow, could someone else step in and deliver the same quality of work using documented processes? If you hesitated on that answer, you don't have SOPs, and that's okay. Instead, you have tribal knowledge that's trapped in people's heads, and tribal knowledge just doesn't scale. So here's what this actually costs you. Every time someone asks, how do we do this? You lose 15 to 30 minutes explaining something that should be documented. Now, this 15 to 30 minutes doesn't seem significant in the moment, but when you multiply that by 5 to 10 times per week that you're explaining that process, and you're spending 5 to 10 hours per month just re-explaining the same process over and over, that's where we find that this is not time management. It's actually systems failure. Barrier number 3 is scattered communication systems. Email for some things, your Slack or IMing for other things, text messages are used for urgent issues, project management tools are for comments on deliverables, client communication is happening in at least 3 different places, and that's just depending on who they're talking to. Does any of this sound familiar to you? The cost of scattered communication is not just confusion. It's missed deadlines because someone did not see the message. It's duplicated work because Tim and Jerry, the two team members that you have working on a particular project, didn't know that the other guy was already handling it. And your clients are feeling neglected because their question got lost in the wrong channel. And they're thinking, how was I even supposed to know? When I calculate the actual cost of this barrier for clients, we're usually looking at 15 to 20 hours per month of wasted time just searching for information that should be in one centralized place. I don't know about you, but that would drive me crazy. And this is the mental fatigue that you may be feeling as a founder and owner on a day-to-day basis. Let's jump into barrier number 4. I'm going to start off by asking you a quick question. Can you show your receipts? What I mean by this is, can you pull up a complete history of any client relationship that encompasses all of their projects, all of their communications, all of their deliverables, and all of their payments, their payment history? And can you do this in 60 seconds or less? If you said no to that question or any component within that question, that means you do not have a client management system. You have a filing cabinet of what's supposed to be happening across 5 different platforms. That's those text messages, the emails, the Slack and IMs that we were talking about earlier. And the cost of this is that every time you need client information, you are hunting. You're on the hunt through your emails, through your spreadsheets, and your project management tools, if you have one. And every time one of your employees needs context on something, they're asking you instead of accessing that information within the system. Every time a client asks, hey, what's the status on this? Could you send a progress photo or a progress video? Can I see a snapshot? You are scrambling to piece together an answer, or you're not providing an answer at all. This single barrier typically costs my business owners 10 to 15 hours per week of productivity. That's almost half a full-time employee's worth of time that just got lost to information retrieval. It's not worth it. And so having centralized client data will inevitably save time, and that just means getting a little bit more organized. Barrier number 5 is manual task management. Be honest with me, we've come this far, right? Are you still using your brain as your primary task management system? Here's what I mean by that. I want you to think about if you can remember a time where you needed to follow up with a client. It wasn't written down somewhere, it wasn't in your calendar necessarily, or even on a to-do list. It was just in your mind. Also, can you remember a time where you needed to send a proposal and you chose to remember that you need to send the proposal instead of just writing down or scheduling time to send the proposal? Do you remember when you need to review a deliverable? Are you holding on essentially to 47, 50, 75, 1,000 different tasks in your mental space? If so, every single one of those to-do items is creating cognitive load that prevents you from doing strategic work. I'm saying it's taking up brain space that does not need to be used, you guys. In my opinion, our brains are meant to analyze and ideate. They are not meant to remember. So the cost of this manual task management isn't just the things that fall through the cracks, although that is significant, right? What I'm actually focusing in on here is that it's costing you mental energy. You are burning through this mental energy just trying to remember what needs to happen next, instead of focusing on the work that actually grows your business. And you could say, well, I can remember, or I'm able to do this thing. And yes, I agree with you. The fact that you were able to build a business at all shows that you are set apart from the rest. And at the same time, I urge you to consider that your mind can be used for more value add to your business rather than daily task management. And so when I help clients implement automated task management systems, they typically get to reclaim 8 to 12 hours per week. That's not necessarily because they're working faster, although we have strategies for that as well. It's actually because they're not burning through energy on memory management. All right, so let's hit barriers number 6 and 7 so that you can close this out and start taking action today. Barrier number 6 is having undefined team roles and accountabilities. You would be so shocked at how many times this comes across my desk as a challenge or obstacle to overcome before progress can be made within a team unit or a business at large. So here's the question that I ask every business owner I work with. If I asked 3 of your team members to describe their primary responsibilities, would I get 3 identical answers? I know there was a pause there because I think all of us can say almost never. What usually happens instead is the responsibilities overlap in 1 or 2 areas and they fall through the cracks in other areas. So people end up stepping on each other's toes on one project and they don't take ownership on the next project. And so when they're giving this description of what their role is within the business, there might be some confusion as to who's meant to do what, when, where, and why. So you end up playing referee instead of leading the business strategy as the founder and visionary for your business. The cost of this is constant friction. It's, again, that duplicated work and, again, critical tasks that do not get done because everyone assumed that someone else was handling it. I typically calculate this barrier costing businesses between 15 and 20% of total team productivity. So if you have those numbers already available on your desk, I urge you after we finish barrier number 7 and you complete this podcast, sit down at your desk, take the 5 minutes and find out what this is costing you. What is the cost of having undefined team roles and accountabilities in your business? I have a feeling that you might find thousands of dollars per month just evaporating because that role clarity might not exist. Last but not least, you guys, let's go ahead and wrap up with barrier number 7 because this one could really hit home. You have no financial visibility or forecasting within your business. You did not start your business to become an accountant. You did not start your business because you wanted to look into the future. You started your business because you were passionate about it and it's something that would put food on the table for your family and give you time freedom that you were hoping for. So my final question to you is this. Can you tell me right now what your profit margin was last month? All right. If not that, can you tell me what your cash flow will look like in 60 days? I hope that you've got some answers here. Okay, let's try one more. Which clients are actually profitable and which ones are just generating revenue? If you have not considered any of these questions before, you could be running a business on this concept of, I think we're doing okay. Instead of having real-time financial data, you're not making strategic decisions. Instead, you're making educated guesses. You are not alone in this. So please don't hear me giving you a hard time or even fussing at you. But what I am trying to say is that the cost of this barrier is massive and almost always invisible until it's too late. You're taking on clients that aren't profitable. You're making hiring decisions based on revenue instead of margin. You're spending money on marketing that might be generating leads, but it's not generating profit. And when I implement financial visibility systems for my clients, they typically discover that 20 to 30% of their client base is either break even or actively costing them money. So here's the piece that I want to bring to you. I want you to imagine this with me, okay? Close your eyes if you like a little meditation moment. If you're driving, please don't do that. That'd be chaos. But here's this. Just imagine knowing that before you spend another dollar acquiring a similar client, you could have this data available to help you make a better decision. So let's add this up. Inconsistent client delivery, costing you clients, costing you referrals. Unclear SOPs, costing you at minimum 5 to 10 hours per month in repeated explanations. Scattered communication, it's costing you 15 to 20 hours per month in wasted time. No centralized client data, costing you hours per week in information retrieval. Manual task management, costing you mental energy that could be spent on your business strategy and vision. Undefined team roles, leading to duplicate work and decreasing team productivity, and having no financial visibility, costing you potentially tens of thousands at minimum in unprofitable client work. So here's the thing that I want you to take away from this episode. These are not 7 separate problems. They're 7 symptoms of the same root issue. That is that your business infrastructure was not designed to scale beyond your capacity as a founder. You did not fail, my friend. Actually, I'm so incredibly proud of you. 1, for doing the damn thing, building the damn thing. No, I know that was probably incredibly hard as you got your feet under you and you started to walk with confidence. And now you're ready to scale and you can see some of those holes in your systems. That's why you picked up this podcast. Your systems may have failed, but you did not. So here's what I want you to understand. It's that fixing these problems doesn't mean working harder. You are already working so incredibly hard within your business. It doesn't mean that you need to hire more people. You already have the team that you need. It doesn't even mean investing in expensive software. There are so many solutions that fit so many different team budgets. What all of this means when we put it together at the end, it's that redesigning your operational infrastructure in the same way that an architect would redesign a building. They would do it by understanding how all the systems need to work together, identifying structural weaknesses, building integrated solutions that support growth instead of fighting it. All of this is what you need within your business infrastructure. You just need an architect. So you can be that architect, or I'm happy to help you. And here's what happens next when you treat this as a systems architecture problem. You stop spending 30 hours per week on operational firefighting, and you get to start spending that time on strategic growth. This was not a personal failure. It's just a new opportunity. You're going to stop losing clients to inconsistent delivery, and you're going to start building a reputation for reliable excellence. You get to stop watching profit evaporate through invisible operational inefficiencies, y'all. That's always my favorite one, just having efficient systems. I hope you hear me getting hype, and I hope you're getting hype too. You get instead to actually start scaling toward and beyond that $1 million annual revenue mark. So if you recognize your business in any of these 7 barriers, know this: you are not alone, you are not failing, and most importantly, this is fixable. The businesses that break through the $1 million ceiling are not the ones with the best marketing, although I love good marketing campaign. They're also not the ones with the most talented founders. They're the ones who finally stopped treating operational chaos as if it's normal, and they started building systems architecture that supports the business they actually wanted to create. My friend, I'm Ashley Douglas. This has been the first episode of the Flowstate private series, where we are reframing business consulting as sophisticated systems architecture, because that's actually what it is. Thanks for joining.